Hello, my menopause mavens. Welcome back to the community. I'm Lisa Metzger, and I will be your guide to your menopausal journey by focusing on gut health and body-mind stress management. And this month, we're going to be talking about healthy weight loss and exercise. Movement is essential for a healthy body and mind. I know when we're in the throes of menopause that we can feel completely exhausted and have a lack of motivation. And it is a vicious cycle of sleepless nights, no energy, feeling overwhelmed. So we just decide to just plop ourselves down on the couch because we just simply can't muster the energy to exercise. But then this just leads to more sleepless nights, no energy, and weight gain. So you can see how this goes into a quick downward spiral. So in this month's talk, we will talk about the healthy ways to get you moving and feeling better. So if you want to improve your weight loss efforts, boosting your metabolism is essential. The best way to increase your metabolism is not through deprivation or restrictive fad diets, but by eating the right foods that treat the root cause of your hormone balance and slow metabolism. So I want to invite you to try the tasty recipes in this month's pack for hormone and gut healthy foods. And the key to a healthy metabolism is balanced hormones, especially in menopause as our hormones start to decline. So we will learn about the different hormone body types that reveal the root cause of your weight gain and the hormone imbalances that might be driving your weight gain. And the key to shifting your metabolism and helping you to feel more energetic and vibrant are all under your control. So water intake, good nutrition, the balanced hormones, and your gut microbiome. And what we'll be talking about more this month is movement. To increase your metabolism, you need to balance both your hormones and your gut health. So here are some signs of hormone-driven weight gain. You have a new set point that just won't budge. You've been eating right and exercising like you always did, and you keep gaining weight. You gain weight in certain areas like the hips, the butt, the belly, back or arms, places you've never really had weight gain before. You go to the gym every day, but the scale doesn't move. You have a known hormonal imbalance that you just can't balance out. So I want to invite you to stop dieting. Fad diets may work in the short term. I'm sure many of you have been on some of these, low carb, carnivore, whatever diets that are out there, and you have you have lost weight, but guess what? Bad diets may work in the short term, but many of them cause more long-term damage than good. The key is eating the right foods that support your body and your gut microbiome and your hormone balance. Eliminating healthy foods from your diet, especially carbohydrates and fats, can hinder the production of hormones your body needs to keep your metabolism working effectively. Your body needs the right kinds of foods to fuel your metabolism. It's not helpful to deprive yourself with fad diets or to over-exercise. Some of the trends for losing weight actually do more harm to your metabolism than good. So improving your metabolism should be about helping your body to work smarter, not harder. If your body is in balance, then your hormones, like insulin, work better and you can eat good quality, nutrient-rich carbohydrates. They are not the enemy. It's the type of carbohydrates. It's the type of foods. It's the type of fats that we're ingesting. This is done when you prioritize hormone balance by eating hormones balance eating and living a life that supports optimal hormone health. The key to healthy metabolism is balanced hormones. So understanding your hormone body type can reveal the root cause of your weight gain and the hormone imbalances that are driving your weight gain. Now, we might have a combination of these hormone body types, but it kind of will give you a good idea of where you might be at with your hormone balance. So before you can figure out how to balance your hormones so you can lose weight, you need to know which hormones are an obstacle for you. Identifying your unique hormone body type is a way to do that. I like the 4 hormone body types as explained by Alyssa Beatty from Flow Living. According to Alyssa, there are 4 primary hormone types: estrogen, cortisol, insulin, and testosterone body types. So let's go through those different body types. So if you happen to have extra weight in your hips, thighs, and butt, your body is producing too much estrogen or not processing the estrogen properly that is building up in your system. This can happen in menopause, even though your ovaries aren't producing as much estrogen. Remember that your fat cells are also producing estrogen as well. And if your microbiome, specifically the estrobolome, which we discussed in a previous workshop, isn't balanced, then the estrogen you are producing isn't being metabolized properly, and you can become what's called estrogen dominant. This leads to your progesterone levels that are lower than estrogen. So eating things like green leafy vegetables like kale, cabbage, collard greens, spinach, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli can help improve estrogen metabolism. See here, we're using food as the solution. We don't have to run and get hormone therapy at this point. Now in the future, you might find that you need hormone therapy, but let's start with food. These foods are foods that help feed your microbiome as well, so it helps to balance out your microbiome. Next, we'll talk about the cortisol body type. Chronic stress creates a constant flow of cortisol, which leads to the dreaded belly fat. Cortisol is a stress hormone that should only be released when you need to be in fight or flight situation. Like if a saber-toothed tiger was chasing you, you need that cortisol to activate your muscles, and so you can either run or fight. The problem is that most of us are under constant stress, and the body is always creating that stress hormone. Menopause can also create anxiety and lack of sleep, which also jacks up our cortisol production. Foods that contain things like vitamin C, like oranges and bell peppers, help to relieve the oxidative stress that can be created when we're under stress. So these are good foods to incorporate into your daily routine. Herbs like ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb that helps to balance out the adrenal glands. So it's great to help manage stress by nourishing the adrenal glands and regulating cortisol. In the resource section, I have included one of my favorite shakes that contains both spore-based probiotics for gut balance and ashwagandha. So check that out and see if that's something you want to incorporate into your daily diet. Next, we're going to go into the insulin body type. The insulin body type typically has love handles. This indicates that you have poor insulin efficiency. Insulin is the hormone that regulates our blood sugars. So if you eat a lot of processed sugar, then you have to pump out more insulin to regulate the increase in blood sugars as a result of you eating this highly concentrated levels of processed sugars. Soon your body becomes resistant to the insulin, and your body has to keep producing more and more insulin to get the job done. So this can ultimately result in diabetes. This is a condition where your body can no longer keep levels of blood sugars in a healthy range. So you can actually have a healthy level of blood sugars if you're only measuring your blood sugars. But what they really need to be doing is measuring our insulin levels, because you can have a normal level of blood sugars in your blood, but a high level of insulin, meaning your body's working too hard to get that blood sugar regulated. So what can you do about that? Eat complex forms of carbohydrates like quinoa, brown rice, sweet potatoes, and buckwheat. Avoid the overly processed sugary snacks like white bread, pasta, sugar, of course, and white rice. Be aware of how much sugar is even in supposedly healthy products like yogurt. So practice reading those labels and see how much sugar is in products, because yogurts are supposedly healthy, right? But a lot of them are including sugar, too much sugar, which actually feeds our bad bacteria. So you're trying to put in good bacteria, but you're actually feeding some of your bad bacteria, which doesn't result in a balance. Next, we'll talk about the testosterone body type. Storing fat in your upper arms, shoulders, and back suggests that you have a sensitivity to testosterone or low testosterone. This hormone burns fat and helps keep your muscle mass and helps you to build muscle mass. So eating healthy fats like avocados, which are a great source of bioidentical testosterone, maca root is also an adrenal adaptogen that supports healthy testosterone balance. So those things, the healthy fats and the maca root, can help to balance out that testosterone. So next, I will talk about hormone healthy exercise. That is the key to this month's talk. And I just want to let you know that exercise is good unless you overdo it. So over exercising can lead to increased cortisol levels. For example, I trained for a marathon back in the day. I was in my upper 30s when I did this. And I thought I was going to lose weight doing it, but I really didn't. I wasn't very much over. I was probably maybe 10 pounds overweight at that point. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just going to get back to my college weight, which was pretty darn skinny, but I didn't. And I really didn't actually even lose. I maybe lost a few pounds and that was it. I was shocked because I was running so much. And the reason I was because I was running so much that my body was inflamed and stressed. I will go through a few ways to exercise to help you to lose weight and increase your metabolism, not shut it down and be stressed. So the first one, walking. Walking is a fabulous exercise for menopause. Walking can boost moods and reduce stress. Walking lowers stress levels, the hormone levels in the body, and it releases feel-good endorphins. Those are the feel-good hormones. Walking is an excellent form of exercise because it doesn't increase your hunger. I like to walk in the morning before I eat breakfast. It burns calories and it does not increase the hormone cortisol. So go out for a walk 3 or 4 times a week at minimum and have a goal of 10,000 steps per day. You can break this up. You can park further away from the store. You can add in steps wherever you can to increase those steps per day and shoot for that 10,000 steps. You can use a tracking device like, a Fitbit or Apple Watch, or even just your phone. Most phones have a health app on it. So use those tools to track. And once you track, you know where your activity level is. You'd be surprised at how many steps you actually get or how many steps you actually don't get. So start tracking your walking. Next, I want to suggest that you try a yoga class. It will help with flexibility because we can get stiffer as we get older, strength because we do tend to decrease our muscle mass as we get older, and it lowers cortisol levels and the stress response. Yoga and the breath work that goes with the practice helps to activate what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. We have the autonomic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that regulates things like our heartbeat, our breathing, things that we don't have to think about. That's the autonomic nervous system. And that is divided into 2 different systems. The parasympathetic, which is essentially like the brake pads of your car. It helps slow things down and, stops, overactivity. And the sympathetic nervous system, or the fight or flight, which is like the gas pedal in your body. So when you're under stress, all of a sudden you're cranking down on that gas pedal and you get all that adrenaline and that cortisol so that you can go into what is called the fight or flight, which takes things, blood and activity away from things like your digestion, things that you don't need if you're going to be running or fighting. So if you have that cortisol body type with, the love handles around the, that weight gain around the middle, then yoga is perfect for you. I suggest that you start with a class so that you can learn the proper way to do poses and breathing. There's also, YouTube videos and things like that, or you can subscribe to an exercise service like Beachbody or something like that. They do have yoga classes, but I do recommend that at some point that if you're just beginning, to go ahead and start with the class so they can show you the proper ways to do the poses and the breathing. There are certain power poses like downward dog, chair pose, and dragon pose that are great for resistance strength building. So, you don't have to do an hour of yoga a day. Even if you just start with 5 minutes doing one pose and the breathing, that is a great way to start your day and to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. So it sets you up for a more relaxed day. It is very important as our hormones start to decline, usually around 40-ish, that you do some resistance training. Our muscle mass starts to decline pretty rapidly once our hormones start declining. And we do become more sedentary as we get older. So you can do body weight exercises. This is just using your own body weight, things like planks or just squats, things like that, where you're just using your body. You can use hand weights, you can use machines at the gym, or resistance bands all work very well. So it helps to improve your metabolism because muscle burns more energy than fat does. So if you have more muscle mass on your body, your basal metabolic rate, which is the basic, just to function and survive on your body, the muscle, it burns more energy. So it's just automatically you are burning more calories. It also helps to boost brain function, so we don't feel so foggy brained. I know that's a big, huge thing with menopause, is that foggy thinking. We just don't, the synapses just don't fire as fast, and we just feel that fogginess. It helps to boost bone development and density, because if you don't have that muscle mass on your body, our bone density starts to decrease, and that you have more, likelihood of breaking a bone and losing that bone density. So this is super important as our hormones decline. Bone loss is common as we age and can lead to, like I said, the falls and breaks. It helps with weight loss and improves our insulin sensitivity. So if you're burning more energy, then our insulin sensitivity is increased. If you have more fat cells on your body, our insulin is blocked by those fat cells, and the cells that the insulin is trying to get the glucose into are blocked by fat cells. So you have less insulin sensitivity. It also helps, once our insulin sensitivity is more, more proper, it decreases our blood sugar levels and also reduces bad cholesterol. So it really is so helpful to balance all these different hormones are balanced with resistance training, including your testosterone levels as well. And also, when you're doing some kind of resistance training, as long as you're not overworking and, you don't have to be in the gym for hours at a time, a 20, 30-minute session of resistance training is very effective, and it doesn't increase your cortisol levels as well. So you can see how it affects all of the hormones. And so resistance training is something that I recommend that you do at least 2 to 3 times a week. You work on those big body parts. Maybe one day you do your upper body and the next day you do your lower body. So 2 to 3 times a week is all it takes, half an hour. And, if you don't know what you're doing, go see a trainer, hire a trainer for a couple times, go to a gym. They usually have people that can help you out, but get some resistance training in for sure. So if you have hormonal weight gain, use caution with more than 20 minutes of intense cardio, like running. So, for example, if you just go out for, a 5-mile run, which might take the average person maybe hour and 15, something like that, that sustained cardio can actually be detrimental as our hormones start to decline. So no more than 3 times a week. I recommend about 20 minutes of something like cardio. That sustained cardio. Again, when I was training for my marathon, the group training that I was training with had me running 5 days a week. I was getting injured. My joints were inflamed. It was way too much for my body, and I think for most bodies. So when I cut back to 3 times a week, because I was injured. I couldn't actually do my first marathon because I was injured. My IT band was overtrained and I could barely walk. So I had to, put my training on hold and roll it over into the next marathon that this group was training with. And so when I got smart and I cut back to 3 times a week, I had 1 long run and 2 short runs a week. I felt so much better and I performed much better. I felt so much better on the run instead of just it was truly painful the first time around. So too much intense cardio increases those cortisol levels, which can lead to improper metabolism of your estrogen. When we have too much cortisol in our body, the metabolism of our estrogen starts to decline. And it also affects our microbiome. Too much cortisol affects the balance of our microbiome, the estrobolome that metabolizes our estrogen. So you can see how it's just, you really are a combination of different hormonal imbalances. It's not just one, but you can kind of get an indication of where you really kind of need to focus. But, improper metabolism of estrogen makes you more estrogen dominant, like we talked about, which leads to weight gain. So I recommend for cardio that you do small amounts of HIIT, which is called high intensity interval training. So you have short bursts, and that's really how we are programmed and designed, is for small bursts of energy. If you ever see a kid, I used to love running with my daughter when she was young, because I was just like, I'd plod along and she'd just like burst ahead and then she'd stop and she'd walk. And then she'd burst ahead and she'd stop and she'd walk. And that's just how a kid performs. And that's how we're actually designed, is for small bursts of energy. And so when you do that, you don't have to exercise as much. 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes is fine. And it doesn't increase your appetite like sustained cardio, or, if you're doing it over 30 minutes. When I was training for my marathon, I know one of the reasons I didn't lose weight is because I was hungry all the time. I was running so much. And so this intense cardio really doesn't lead to weight loss. You might sustain, you might, not gain weight, but you really it's not going to put you in that weight loss mode. So not to say that you can never run a marathon if that is your goal, but if you are trying to lose weight, interval training with cardio is way better. So that is it for this month's workshop. I hope you enjoyed and that you find some ways that you can get your body moving. You don't have to start off with, like I said, major workouts. Just start with 5-10 minutes. If you want to go for a walk around the block, do that. Start somewhere. Just start moving your body. Start breathing. Try yoga for the strength training and the flexibility. And I hope that you find something that you enjoy. Maybe dancing. Go dancing. Whatever you enjoy. Go swimming. There's so many different exercises, and people will ask, well, what should I do? It's like, whatever you're going to be able to sustain, something that you enjoy doing. And so make sure that you download your recipes and your guided meditation for this month. And I will also include that resource sheet for some of the supplements that I mentioned. And we will catch you next month. Take care, Menopause Mavens.